For this afternoon is on page 46 of the book Universal Prayers. Page 46, and it is from the Vedas, and the English translation is on page 47 of Universal Prayers. Okay, let us all chant. Those of you who have the book or you know the mantra. Padma, good. Very good. Om Vangme Manasi Pratishtita Mano Me Vachi Pratishtitam Aviravir Maedhi Vedasya Maanistha Srutam Me Ma Prahasi Anena Adhitena Ahoratran Sandadhami Rutam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. I pray that my speech be established in my mind. May my speech reflect what is in my mind. May my mind be established in my speech. O self-manifested Atman, please reveal yourself to me. O my mind and speech, please reveal to me the highest knowledge. May I not forget what I have heard. May I, without forgetting, may I be able to study day and night. The right will I speak, the truth will I speak. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. So once again, good afternoon to all of you. We will continue our study of the second chapter. Where we left last time, we were doing verse number 30. Second chapter, sloka number, verse number 30, we did. We'll start from there. The next 7-8 shlokas are very easy. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is persuading Arjuna to fight, giving various reasons. I confused where I stopped last time. Verse number 25 we have to do. 25, 26, 27, these three shlokas, next 3-4 shlokas. There, Sri Krishna is trying to persuade Arjuna to do his duty as a Kshatriya, giving several reasons. So let us see verse 25. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushochitumarhasi. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevam viditvainam nanushocitumarhasi. Bhagavan is describing the self, Atman. This Atman, Ayam, you see the word Ayam hidden there, Avyaktaha, Ayam, Avyakta Ayam, Avyaktoyam. Ayam means this. This means referring to this Atman, the divine self within us all. Atman means, the word Atman is used in several different with several different meanings in different contexts. Atman sometimes refer to the body, physical body. Sri Ramakrishna uses Atman with 3-4 different meanings. Depending on the context, we have to interpret what is the meaning here. I'll explain. One meaning of Atman sometimes refers to the physical body. Not a very commonly used sense, but it is used sometimes. Second meaning of Atman is the mind, settled body. The third meaning of Atman is the individual self, Jiva Atman, each individual, each one of us. The fourth meaning of Atman is Paramatman. 4 different meanings are there. In this case, it means the self within, the Atman within each one of us, which is same in all. We are going to study later in 13th chapter. This Atman is one and the same. Bodies are infinite number of bodies. How many people are there? How many people have been there before? Billions and billions, 6-7 billions now. In all of them, only same Atman is present. Just like if you go to a potter's shop, so many different parts are there of all different sizes and shapes and functions. In all of them, same space is there. Space is same. In the same way, Atman is one and the same. Physical bodies are infinite in number. This Atman is being referred here. This Atman within us all, which is one. Ayam Atma Avyaktaha. Avyakta means unmanifest. What is unmanifest? The word unmanifest comes several times in the 2nd chapter and its later chapters too. What does unmanifest mean? Let us understand. Manifest means visible. Something is manifest means something is visible. Visible means we can see with our eyes, we can hear with our ears, we can touch. It is available to sense perception. Something that is available to sense perception is called manifest. Vyakta. In Sanskrit, it is called Vyakta. Vyakta means manifest, visible. Visible to the senses, all the senses. Avyakta means not perceptible by the senses. In commenting on this word Avyakta, Shankaracharya says in the commentary, Sarva Karana Avishayatvat. Karana means instrument. All the instruments we have 10 instruments, including mine, 11 instruments. 5 sense organs of perception, Jnanendriyas, 5 sense organs of action, Karmendriyas, and the mind is all perception, instruments of perception. We perceive through all these things. Avyakta means something that is not perceptible to any of these things. Atman cannot be seen by the eye. Body can be seen by the eye, but Atman is hidden within us. You cannot see the Atman. It's because it is pure consciousness. It's not matter. If something is matter, material in nature, we can see that one, we can hear sound, we can touch it, etc. But pure Atman is Shuddha Chaitanyam, pure consciousness. The word used in Sanskrit is Shuddha Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is consciousness. It is not perceptible through the senses. So it's called Avyakta. Avyakta, Ayam means this Atman. This Atman is imperceptible beyond the domain of the sense organs and the mind also. Achintya. Achintya means, Chintana means thinking. Achintya, we cannot even think about it. Think means we cannot form a conception about Atman. This like this, this like this, is like this. Some form of mental image we cannot create. We cannot conceive of the Atman in our minds because it is too subtle, too sukshma to be seen by the to be thought about by the mind. You can't think about it clearly, get a clear mental picture of what Atman is. Not possible. Beyond the domain of mind and sense organs. Manovacham agocharam. In the evening arati, almost all Vedanta centers and many of you also chant evening arati Khandanava Vandana. In that evening arati, the last stanza is Namo Namo Prabhuvakyamanaatita Manavacham. Like this, one line comes, Vakyam Anatitam. Vakyam Mana Atitam. Vakya means speech, Mana means mind, Atita means beyond. This divinity, the divine presence within us cannot be thought about. We can't get a clear mental image of that one in our minds. We cannot express it in words. Vakya. So that is what is meant here in the Achintya. Avyaktoyam Achintyoyam Avikaryoyam Uchyate. This Atman is said to be Avikarya means it does not undergo any kind of transformation. Vikara means transformation, changing form. Vikara, Akara means form. Vikara means changing the form from one to another. For example, let me give an example of something that changes its form. Shankar also gives the same example in the commentary. Supposing we have milk. That milk, if it is allowed to ferment, will become curd, yogurt. And yogurt, if it is churned and added, if you add water and churn yogurt, it becomes buttermilk. Like this, one substance takes many different forms. So it is called vikari. Vikari means something that undergoes changes. But Atman does not undergo any kind of change, any kind of transformation. Earlier we saw everything in this universe undergoes how many kinds of changes? Anybody remembers? 6 changes. Everything undergoes 6 kinds of changes. Shad vikara. Atman does not go any change at all. Avikaryoyam uchyate. Remember the 6 changes? First is, I will recapitulate. Many of you remember, but since you're on mute, I will recapitulate. First thing that happens to everything is comes into existence, janma. Janma means birth. First thing that happens is birth. Everything comes into existence. Nothing was there before. Sun also came into existence maybe 7, 8, how many billions of years ago. Earth also came into existence, and we all came into existence on the day we were born, or a few months before that. Before that, we were not there. So everything, first thing that happens is janma. Janma means birth. First thing that happens, 6 transformations, first is birth, janma. Second thing that happens to everything is vriddhi. Vriddhi means growth. Birth and growth too. Note down the 6 changes that everything undergoes. Growth means grows in shape and size and color. Various things happen. Example is a human example. Human body is a good example. Baby was not there before it was born. Baby is born on the day it was born. Birth comes into existence. Then baby grows. Every week, every 2 weeks, the weight goes on increasing. Baby changes. It starts to speak and move and walk about and play, and so changes happen. Growth. Janma. Vriddhi. Vriddhi means growth. Second thing is asti. Asti or astitvam, existence. Everything exists for some time. Finite duration of time. Everything, some things exist for a long period of time. For example, the earth exists for billions of years of time. And human beings exist for 70, 80, maybe 100 years of duration. Then they go away. And smaller things exist for a short period of time. And some subatomic particles exist for a very small fraction of a second, and they disintegrate. Like this, everything exists. Third change is asti, existence. Janma, vriddhi, asti, birth, growth, and existence. Fourth change that happens to everything is parinama. Parinama means the changes begin to become visible transformation. Parinama means transformation, a change. Things change in form, shape, and size and quality. People change. When they are young, they are so nice and sweet and nice to be with, enjoyable. And when they grow, they develop their own personality. Some become very pleasant people, some become not so pleasant people, some are always angry, some are always peaceful. So many different changes happen. Parinama. Fourth one is parinama. Changes begin to become visible, right? And then fifth thing that happens is apakshayam. Degeneration sets in. Apakshayam means everything begins to degenerate, go downhill. Human life is a very good example of to see the six changes. Youth, everything is fine and nice, and people feel invincible. I can do anything, I can win, I can do this, I can do that. That feeling of confidence is there, strength is there. They are very strong. Then middle age comes, they soften a little bit. They know there are limitations to what they can do. Their thinking changes. They accept limitations. Old age comes, the problem of old age, very different kind of framework. Nothing is possible. For everything you have to depend upon other people. Body becomes weak and memory also is not very sharp. You don't remember whether you had breakfast or not. You don't remember the names of people whom you know for years. All this parinama, apakshaya, degeneration. Fifth change is degeneration, apakshaya. Last change is what? Completion. The smrityu, nasha, goes out of existence. The same six changes happen to everything, except the only thing that does not undergo any change is what? Atman. That is being described here. Avikaryoya muchate. End of first line, avikaryoya muchate. Avikarya means something that does not go any of these changes. It's always there, does not come into existence. Atman does not come into existence at a particular time. It was always there before. Atman will not go out of existence at a certain time. It will always continue to be there. This we saw in sloka number 20. Sloka number 20 I mentioned is one of the 5-star slokas. There Sri Krishna describes the Atman. All these things have come already there once. They will come several times again. The qualities of Atman. Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha. That sloka number 20 describes Atman as najayate namriyate. It does not take birth, it does not die. It's always there, beyond the limitation of time, kala atita. That's being described here to Arjuna. Sri Krishna comes to this topic of the Atman again and again throughout the Bhagavad Gita, because that's the main thing, Adhyatma Shastra, Adhyatma Vidya. Therefore, Tasmat, second line, Tasmat, Evam Viditva Enam. Enam means this Atman. Knowing this Atman like this to be imperishable, unchangeable, eternal, infinite, knowing this Atman to be like this, Tvam shochitum na arhasi, na anushochitum arhasi. Shoka means sorrow. Don't feel sorrow, sad. Arjuna was very sorrowful, looking at the Kauravas army where he saw Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana, Karna, who was one of their own brothers, seeing all these people, how can I kill all this? Became filled with sorrow. So here, Sri Krishna says, they are all bodies, but in all the bodies only one Atman is there, and that Atman cannot be killed. It does not come into existence. It's always there. It does not go out of existence. It is always there. Don't worry. Just do your duty. If they know the nature of Atman, sorrow will not be there. This is a very important principle in Vedanta we have to know. Sorrow means grief. Grief comes if we don't know in the immortal nature of the Atman. Grief comes because we think we are mortal. Oh, I'm going to die someday. I've already become old. I'm going to lose this property because bank is foreclosed. I've not been able to make the mortgage payments. I will lose this house. I'll lose the body. I will lose my job. I will lose this. That kind of sense of loss makes us feel sad. Sorrow, grief will come. Because we don't know the immortal nature of ourselves. If I know that I am immortal Atman, what kind of sorrow will there be there? There will be no sorrow at all. So this comes in a Chandogya Upanishad. Very briefly, I will make a digression to Chandogya Upanishad. Still on sloka number 25. In Chandogya Upanishad, the story is very interesting. Narada Maharshi, the greatest in the race, Narada is Chiranjeevi, is present even now. Always chanting Narayana, Siman Narayana, Siman Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, like this, chanting out all the three lokas and travel freely, no visa required. Narada. Such a great sage, Narada, he became grief-stricken one day. If people, ordinary people like us, we become grief-stricken, grief, sorrow, something, disappointment, something comes to us, it is understandable. You are ordinary mortals. Because we don't know we are that immortal Atman. That knowledge has not come to us yet. It will come, it will not come. So we feel sorrow, natural for us. But for an Narada to feel sorrow like that one. So what he does, when he felt grief, he goes to the great sage Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara was Brahma's son, greatest of all teachers. So Narada goes to Sanat Kumara and prays to him, sir, please help me to overcome this sorrow. I'm suffering from this sorrow. And then he also knows the solution. Narada also knows the solution. He says, I will say this Sanskrit in Chandogya Upanishad, Shrutami Bhagavad Drishebhyaha Tarati Shokam Atmavid Iti. This means, in English, it means, oh sir, Sanat Kumara, addressing Sanat Kumara, Narada says, sir, I have heard from great people like you that only those people who know the nature of the Atman, they overcome sorrow permanently. For other people, whether they are rishis or sages or ordinary people or men and women, for other people who don't know the Atman, sorrow is a given fact. Something or other causes grief at some time or other in their life. Therefore, please help me to overcome sorrow by granting me self-knowledge. Shokasya param tarayatu. Please help me to cross over the ocean of grief. Like this, Narada says. Same thing here in verse 25. If Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna, if you know Atman to be imperishable, unchangeable, eternal, without birth, without death, always present. If you know Atman like that one, if you know that you are that Atman, then you will have no shoka. You will have no grief. You will not feel sorry for anything. Nothing can be lost. Bodies will come and go, of course. That is to be understood. So this is indirectly in this verse, Sri Krishna is giving Arjuna the knowledge of the self, but directly he is using that to encourage him to do his duty, which is supposed to. So Arjuna being a Kshatriya in the battlefield, after having exhausted all other avenues to prevent the battle, now he's left with no choice but to fight, so he has to fight. So that is the meaning of verse number 25. Okay. If you have questions, you can ask me number later. Now we go to verse number 26. The next few verses are relatively easy. There's not something much that is difficult or anything. So let us go to verse number 26. Ata chainam nityajatam nityam manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho naivam shochitumarhasi. Verse number 26. Ata chainam nityajatam nityam manyase mritam tathapi tvam mahabaho naivam shochitumarhasi. I'll read the translation. Your translation may be somewhat different. Even if you think that the self is perpetually born and perpetually dies, still, O hero, you ought not to grieve for it does. This is not the truth. Atman does not take birth, does not die. But if Arjuna, because of ignorance, he may think like that. Even then, you should not worry, because something that comes and goes out of existence, what's the point worrying about it? You can't change. Something that is bound to come into existence is bound to go out of existence, whatever it is cannot be, you can't depend on it. It will not be there. You cannot depend upon it. It won't be there forever. Therefore, don't worry. You have to do your duty. And he says in next verse, Sukra number 27, 26, 27, you can do together. Let us do 27 also. They contain one idea. 27. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad pariharyerthe natvam shochitumarhasi. Death is indeed certain for one who is born, and for one who dies, birth too is certain. Therefore, as regards this unavoidable sequence, you ought not to grieve. He says in these two verses, 26, 27, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is saying, birth and death are inevitable for all bodies, not only human bodies. All bodies have these two things for certain. No doubt about that one. Everything comes into existence. As we saw 6 changes, first thing is coming into existence, last thing is going out of existence. That is common for everything. Nobody, nothing can change it, nothing can escape it, nobody can escape it. Even nature itself, galaxies also come into existence. They live for billions and trillions of years, and they also go out of existence. They disintegrate, merge into other galaxies, or go into black hole. What is the fate of smaller things like ordinary people? We come into existence, we live for a short time, we go out of existence. Therefore, something that is inevitable, birth and death are inevitable for everything. Why do you bother? Because you can't change. If supposing they're not killed in the birth, they'll be killed in a few years when they become old, they'll be killed. Death is inevitable. Don't worry about it. Look at the Atman. Atman is imperishable. Atman is eternal. Atman is unchanging. You are that Atman, they are all the Atman. You can't do anything to them as Atman. Therefore, if you understand the nature, immortal nature of Atman, your grief will not be there, and you have to do your duty. The persuasion, Sri Krishna is persuading Arjuna to do his duty, because Arjuna had this confusion and grief and dilemma how to kill all these people. So, giving various reasons, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is persuading him to do his duty. In the next two verses, one verse also the same thing. Persuasion to do his duty. And then he changes the topic. He talks about Swadharma, brings in the topic of Swadharma. We'll come to that in 2-3 verses. Verse number 28. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. 28. Avyaktadini bhutani yaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatra ka paridevana. Bhutani means all the beings, human beings, non-human beings, all nature, sun, star, moon, earth, everything, rivers, mountains, oceans, all these things in existence in nature, Bhutani, Sarvani Bhutani, all the beings, Avyaktadini, they were in the unmanifest state before they came into existence. Before they came into existence, they were not visible. They didn't even exist in any physical form. Avyaktadini, they were existing in an unmanifest form, like a tree exists in a seed before it becomes a tree. Vyaktamadhyani, in the middle stage of their existence, they become into manifest state. Vyakta means manifest. They become visible. They assume a shape. They have a form. They have other qualities like color, size, and smell. And we can test them. Sometimes you can taste them. Sometimes they're not good for tasting. Sometimes we can make sound, and they make sound, and we can hear. All they are amenable to all the sense organs. We can think about them. When in the middle stage, Vyakta Madhyani, middle stage of their existence. Beginning stage, before existence, they were not in manifest form. In the middle stage, they are in manifest form, visible form. Avyakta Nidhanani, Nidhana means a death or conclusion of existence, end of existence. At that time, they again go back into unmanifest state. Tatraka paridevana, that being so, why should you lament? Why should you feel sorrow? This also indicates the in the Hindu cosmology, the cyclic nature of creation. Creation is not a one-time phenomenon in our Hindu thinking. Creation happens in cyclic fashion over and over again. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya. These three phenomena occur repeatedly, infinite number of times. Srishti means coming into existence, creation. Srishti means creation. Everything comes into existence at some point. Sthiti means existence. They exist for some time. A lot of changes undergo, but they exist. Pralaya means they go out of existence. At some point in time, they will all go out of existence. So these three things are going on in a cyclic fashion, not a one-time phenomenon, but many times, innumerable number of times, these three things happen. That is our understanding according to Hindu cosmology. That's being explained here. Therefore, something is temporary, comes and goes. Why we should bother? Bodies come and go, so that should not deter us from doing our duty. Because I'm going to die tomorrow, today, I did not mean I should not do my duty today. We should do our duty under all circumstances. Now, the next verse is a very interesting verse. Describes the wonderful nature of the Atman, Ashtarya with Paschati Kashyadena. Let us chant verse number 29. I am waiting to come to verse number 38. Verse number 38 is one of the most important verses in the whole of Bhagavad Gita. Until then, the other things are only Sri Krishna's various ways of persuading Arjuna to do his duty. So let us see. 29. Ashtaryavat pashyati kaschidenam Ashtaryavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha Ashtaryavat chainamanya shrunoti Srutva pyenam vedana chaiva kaschit Ashtaryavat pashyati kaschidenam Ashtaryavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha Ashtaryavat chaiva manya shrunoti Srutva pyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Ashtarya means wonder, marvel, marvelous. Kaschit means people, anybody, somebody. Kaschit means somebody. Some people. Enam means this. This means what? Atman. Pashyati means some people see this Atman Ashtaryavat with great marvel. When we read about Atman in books, we don't have clear understanding of Atman. We can't have until you have the experience. Mentally, we can only get a very rough idea. You have to experience Atman. How to know Atman? By only experiencing it. Anubhavaika Vedyam Manovacham Agocharam. There are two phrases which will come. I will say them again. Manovacham Agocharam. Not visible to mind and speech. Then how to know if I cannot express in speech and if I cannot hear about it, if I cannot think about it? Anubhavaika Vedyam. Anubhava means by experiencing only we can know Atman. There are some things like that which we have to know only by experience. By describing, we cannot get any clear idea. I gave earlier an example of, say, jackfruit. Nowadays, it is common, available in Indian stores and Korean stores. But when I came to this country, there was no jackfruit in this country. And American friends didn't know. When I said jackfruit, they didn't know what is jackfruit. Jack is the name of a person. What fruit is that? There is no, it's not grown in this country. It's not good. It's only tropical fruit. But how will that person know about jackfruit? I can describe jackfruit. By description, you won't get an idea. Jackfruit is like this. I even how to describe jackfruit. How to describe jackfruit? And I tried. My classmates didn't understand what is jackfruit. Then I showed them a picture. They got some idea, but still they don't know how it. They asked me how does it taste. No, I taste it. It tastes sweet. Then they asked me, does it taste sweet like mango? Mango, they were familiar. No. Does it taste sweet like apple? No. Does it sweet like pears? No, does it like, how does it taste? Like, jackfruit tastes sweet. Because those who were in the beginning, so foreign students were asked to talk about their own culture. That's what this conversation happened. Where we all came from different countries in school. So this conversation happened. Then those days there was no, this computer was not there. Microcomputers have were far into the future. So there was no way for me to show a hologram or a videotape or something that was not available. So how do they know? Then what is to be done is, by description, you cannot know what jackfruit is if you don't know it. No words can describe, no picture can describe that one. Taste of jackfruit. The only solution is to go to the Indian store, buy a jackfruit, make that person eat, and even, oh, this is what jackfruit tastes like. Atman is like that. Atman cannot be described. There is no picture of Atman. There is no photograph. There is no hologram. There is no videotape of Atman. There is no description. In words, you can't describe Atman. Though we try to describe only in words because words are the only thing we have, it's not possible to know Atman. How do we know Atman? Only by Anubhava. By experiencing only we have to know. Anubhava eka vedyam. How to get Anubhava? How to experience Atman? Any kind of spiritual practice, any kind of yoga. Instruction of a guru, yoga practice, and devotion also gives Atma Jnana, path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga also gives Atma Jnana, any yoga will give you Atma. But only when a person experiences, this is Atma, that's why it cannot be described. This is what what a wonderful thing it is, can be described in words, cannot be visualized in the mind also. Ashtaryevad vadati tathaiva chanyaha. Somebody talks about it, who has some idea, talks about it as the most wonderful thing. What is the most wonderful thing that we can think about in this world? Everything is wonderful, but most wonderful thing, if you ask somebody, Atman is the most wonderful. There is nothing is more wonderful, fantastic than the Atman. Everything else is okay. They are good, they are nice, they are great. But Atman is the greatest. Ashtaryevad Sayanam Anya Shrunvati. Some people hear about it. Hearing means through the scriptures. Shravanam. Shravanam means listening to Atman. By the teacher describes Atman is like this. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Najayate Mriyateva Kadachit. Like this, all descriptions of Atman. We hear about it. But hearing only gives a very rough idea. We can't get a clear idea of Atman by hearing about it. But still, it's so wonderful even to hear about the Atman. Sutvapi, even after hearing about Atman, enam nachaiva kaschid veda. Nobody clearly understands Atman. By hearing, by discussing about it, by reading about it, we can't know the Atman clearly. How do we know Atman? Only by experiencing it. Then, he continues in verse number 30 also, description of Atman. This is the last sloka, or sloka number 30 in that segment. Then the topic changes. Swadharma comes into it. Next topic is Swadharma. So let's do verse number 30, sloka number 30. Dehi nityamavadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shocitumarhasi. Dehi nityamavadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shocitumarhasi. Deha means body. If we don't specify clearly, Deha means all the three bodies. Sthula Sharira, that is the physical body. Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, mind, memory, all those things. And causal body, Karnasha. All the three are meant by Deha. Simply say Deha. But if you want to indicate one of them, then you have to specify. We should specifically say Sthula Sharira, subtle gross body, Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, Karna Sharira, causal body. Like this, we have to specify. If we do not specify, It means any or all of those three things. So without specification, simply say Deha is mentioned here. Dehi means one who is dwelling in the body, indwelling spirit, Atman within us. That Dehi, its qualities are being described. This description of Atman. Nityam. Nityam means it is eternal, always present, every day, always present. Nityam. Avadhya. Ayam means this Atman. Avadhya. Vada means to kill. Avadhya means something that cannot be destroyed, something that cannot be killed. This Atman is Ayam Atma Dehi, who is present in the Deha, is eternal and indestructible. Avadhya means indestructible. Repetition. All this are repeated. It will come again also. This has come in the second chapter earlier also. This the main thing is description of Atman. Same qualities. Sarvasya Dehe, in everybody's body. There is no exception. God is present in everybody's body. Even in wicked people's body also God is present, but they only are not aware of it, unfortunately. But even in the bodies of wicked people, in the bodies of animals, some are very ferocious animals like tigers and lions. Some are nice animals like cows and elephants. In their bodies, he is present. In plants, he is present. In every plant, in every blade of grass, he is present. There is nothing in which he is not present. Sarvasya Dehe, in everybody's body, in every body, Dehi, the indwelling spirit, Nityam is eternal, Avadhya is indestructible. Bharata means Arjuna, born in the Bharata dynasty. Tasmat, Sarvani Bhutani, Sochitam, Tvam na Sochitam Arhasi. For any being, human being or plant animal, they are all going to go out of existence. As Atman, they are ever present. As bodies, they are impermanent. Therefore, you should not be sorrowful, should not be grief-stricken because of this immortal nature of the Atman. If knowing Atman is immortal, one will not experience grief. Grief will be there as long as we don't know Atman. As long as we are aware of only the perishable bodies and mind, then so long we are subject to grief. Once we know the nature of Atman, then we know grief will touch us, will become free from grief. That is verse number 30. Then the next different topic, different ways of persuading Arjuna to do his duty. It reminds him of his Swadharma. We all have Swadharma. We'll discuss Swadharma a little bit in this and in this verse and next verse, couple of verses. Here, verse number 31. Swadharmamapi chavekshya navikam pitumarhasi dharmyodayuddhat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Swadharmamapi cha avekshya navikam pitumarhasi dharmyat hi yuddhat shreyah anyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Here translation is, having regard to the law of your own life. Everybody has a inborn duty, Swadharma. He refers to as a law of your own life. Having regard to the law of your own life, you ought not to be perturbed. A Kshatriya cannot have a greater good than a righteous battle. For a Kshatriya, certain dharma, Swadharma are prescribed. Similarly, for other people, for those who seek to be Brahmanas, they have to do certain duties. Brahmana duties they have to do. I will describe to them shortly. Those who are Brahmana, they have to do certain duties. They are inborn duties. From the moment they are born as Brahmana, they have responsibility to do certain things every day. Those who are born as Kshatriya, they have certain duties they have to do every day. Those who are born as Vaishya, or in other categories of society, they have to do their respective duties. We all have duties. Now that system has changed, we pursue different professions by choice. Earlier it was by birth, hereditary. Now it is by choice. We can choose whether I want to become a Kshatriya by joining the defense force. Supposing somebody joins the Air Force or the Army, then he chooses to become a Kshatriya. Their duty is to fight. If you don't want to fight, then you should not join the armed forces. Then you cannot join the armed forces. I don't want to, but that will not work. Everybody has duty. These duties are prescribed in 3 shlokas in the 18th chapter. Very briefly, I will make a cross-reference because what is Arjuna's duty? Standing in the battlefield, what is his duty? To remind him, Sri Krishna says Swadharma. Swadharma means one's inborn duty, one's duty by choice or by birth. These days we choose our duty. I choose to become a teacher. I studied to become a teacher, taking teaching courses and education, get a degree in education. That is my choice. I can become a teacher, or I can become a businessman, or I can work for the government, or I can work for the defense forces, or I can join some other company. Like this, we have a little bit choice. Those days it will be hereditary. So that system has changed. We don't want to dwell on that one. Where are these duties described? In the 18th chapter, there are 3 shlokas which describe the duties of various categories of people in society, according to social division as it existed at that time. These are shloka number 42, 43, 44. 18th chapter. We are not going to study them in detail now. I'm just making cross-reference. Just make a cross-reference and you can read on your own. Chapter 18, shloka number 42, 43, 44. The duties of a Kshatriya are described in the shloka number 43. 1843 describes what are the duties of Kshatriya. Arjuna is bound by those duties. That's why that cross-reference is made. Why am I bringing 1843? Because Sri Krishna is asking Arjuna to follow his Swadharma. Swadharma means his inborn duty, which is incurred by birth. He is obligated to do his duty. If you are born as Kshatriya, you are supposed to do certain things. You can't say, I don't want to do it. Then you will be Kartavya Brashta. You will be failing to do your duty. So what are Kshatriya's duties? Described in verse number 43 to chapter 18. Quickly, Shauryam tejo dhritir daksham yuddhe chapyapalayanam dharameshwara bhavascha kshatram karma svabhavajam. Kshatram karma means Kshatriya dharma. Kshatriya means one who is born in the warrior family, defense, nowadays defense personnel. Defense people who join the armed forces, they have to learn to use the weapons, and in case situation required, they have to use force. Same thing about law enforcement. Supposing somebody wants to become a police officer, and there are occasions during the course of duty, then he has to use force. When you see a robber breaking into somebody's house, then a police officer cannot say, I will follow ahimsa, or let him do whatever. He has to use force. But I cannot do that because I'm not in the law enforcement business. I'm a Swami. I can't use force. So we all have our Swadharma. What was Arjuna's Swadharma is described in 1843. So this is what 1843 says. Shauryam, courage, power, Shauryam, and then Teja. Teja means power, meaning here. Dhriti means resoluteness. Once you're determined to do something, you've got to do that one. You can't waver it in your determination. Resolution. Daksha. So Daksha means skill in warfare. Arjuna was very highly skilled. Nobody could release arrows so accurately as Arjuna could, infallibly. He was known for his Daksha, his efficiency in archery and other forms of martial arts. Skill. And next one is important. Not fleeing away from the battleground. The most disgraceful thing for a warrior is to flee from the battlefield, because his duty by nature is to fight in the battlefield. Arjuna, suppose Arjuna says, oh, I don't want to fight, it's better to be living by a bhiksha, by begging. Not that one. That's not becoming a kshatriya. It's for different kind of people. Desha, Pipalaganam, and then more qualities. Dhanam, they should be charitable, they should do charity. Ishvara Bhava means might, they must have prowess, they must have strength, they must cultivate strength. They can't be weak, they have to be very strong. Ishvara Bhavascha Kshatram Karma Svabhavajam Svabhavakam Swadharma. So coming back to verse number 31, Swadharma Vipicha Aveksha. Considering your swadharma, your important duty as a kshatriya, now vikampitam or vikampa means wavering. You can't waver now. You can't say, I don't want to fight. Because you are a kshatriya, these are your duties. You are bound to perform these duties. He is reminding of his duties. So, being a Swami, I have certain duties. You have certain duty. You have to do that. I respect your duties. If you don't say, I don't want to do my duty, then why am I here? So that's what Krishna was asking Arjuna. If you are a Kshatriya by birth, you are sworn to do your duties, and if you don't want to fight now, why? What is the problem? That's not becoming of you. It's improper. It's not right. You have to fight. Reminding of his duty. So dharma may be chayaksha. Kshatriyasya dharmat yuddhat anyat ksheya. Kshareyaha. Shreya means better. There's nothing better than a dharmic war for a kshatriya. Dharma yuddha. See, the Kaurava Pandava yuddha was a dharma yuddha. Nowadays, people fight for no reason at all, not for dharma. People fight simply because they become upset. The other day, in news I read, one customer went to Burger King. This is why I'm telling the story is, we all have to do our duty. You can't use force when you are not Kshatriya, not in the law enforcement business. So that one lady customer, I think she went to the Burger King drive-through. She didn't go inside. So she ordered for some food and she paid for it. And the people in the Burger King, they have to cook us to prepare that person to deliver in the next window. There was a long delay between placing the order and receiving the food. She became upset. Why so long it takes? She became very angry, and there was an argument between her and the clerk in the server in the drive-through window. And then some altercation was there. She went back. They gave her the money back because the company is, they have a policy. If your customer is not satisfied, money back guarantee. They gave her money back. She got the food also. She got her money back also. It should have ended there. She went and brought her friend, somebody who had a gun. And again, there was altercation. And the clerk and the poor person serving in the drive-through window, he was shot and killed. Can you, this real incident happened a couple of days ago. This is use of force where it is not proper. You can't use force like this. If you are dissatisfied, call the police, go to the lawyer, call the police. They are having you. There are ways to deal with your grievance, not using the force yourself. So everybody has certain duty, something which you have to do, something which you should not do, forbidden to do. So Sri Krishna is reminding Arjuna, for a Kshatriya, there is no other greater duty, sacred duty, than fighting in a Dharma Yuddha. Dharma Yuddha means that war became inevitable after having exhausted all other possible avenues for a reasonable settlement. So he is in the battlefield. You have no choice but to use force. You have to fight now, remaining his duties. Sri Krishna in this verse number 31 is reminding Arjuna of his duty as a Kshatriya. Okay? Let us leave it there. And then we go to verse number 32. Same Kshatriya Dharma continues in 32 also. Yadrichaya chopapannam swargadvaramapavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labante yuddhamidrisham. Yadrichaya chopapannam swargadvaramapavritam sukhina kshatriya partha labante yuddhamishwaram. Translation: an open gateway to heaven has, by happy chance, offered itself to you, O Arjuna, for fortunate Kshatriyas alone gain an occasion to wage a war like this. Again, Kshatriya Dharma is being described here. We don't have to dwell much upon it. We read the Kshatriya Dharma in 1843. Yadrichaya, on its own accord. Yadrichaya means without soliciting, on its own accord, this gateway to heaven is open. Swargadwara Mapavrati. Gateway to heaven means people are going to die. Those who die on the battlefield as Kshatriyas doing their duty, they will go to heaven. That is the contention. If somebody dies performing one's own duty, then you are going to reach heaven. If a person dies thinking about God, you will go to God, like that one. So performing your duty, if we die, give our life to do our duty, then we are going to go to heaven. So Kshatriya will go to heaven if he dies in the battlefield fighting in a dharmic war. So that's what Sri Krishna is reminding Arjuna. And such an opportunity has come on its own. You didn't want a war. Nobody wanted war, but it became inevitable because Duryodhana's abstinence. So it has come on its own accord, this chance to fight in the Dharma Yuddha. And if you are killed, you will go to heaven. And if you win, you will enjoy the kingdom. Either way, you will win. Sukana Kshatriya Partha Labante Yuddhamedrisham. Those fortunate Kshatriyas will get an opportunity to participate in a Dharma Yuddha like this. So you should make a resolution to fight. Still there are 3-4 verses. 38 is what I am waiting for. We'll do one more verse, 37. 33. Ata chetvam imam dharmyam sangramam nakarishyasi tata swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papamavapsyasi. Still, Sri Krishna is persuading Arjuna remaining of his Kshatriya Dharma. Ata chet, translation. On the other hand, if you refuse to fight this righteous war, sacrificing both the law of your life and renown, you will incur sin. It means if you don't perform our swadharma, our duty, whatever it is, we will incur sin. We'll be doing sinful activity if we don't do our duty. Our duty every day is defined for everybody. For everybody, duty is defined. We have to ascertain that one. In the Karma Yoga book, if you want to know how to determine our duty, we all have different duties. If you want to know how to find out what your duty is, I'll give a reference. Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga book, small book is there with 8 lectures in it. Among those 8 lectures, there's one lecture, a chapter called What is Duty? What is Duty? The name of one chapter in the 8 chapters of the Karma Yoga book. There Swamiji has described how we can determine what our duty is. Generally, we know every morning when we wake up, our first duty is to clean up, and then duty is to go to the temple or puja room or shrine and do some prayer, then eat breakfast and then serve breakfast to other people. And that duty we all know generally. But specifically, when we don't do our duty properly, we will be incurring sin. If we fail to do our duty, failure to do our duty will be sinful, will incur sin. That's what Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna in 33. On the other hand, if you refuse to fight in this righteous war, imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. Sangramam is war. Dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. If you don't want to participate, if you fail to participate in this dharmic war for the sake of dharma, you will incur sin. Papam avapsyasi. You will incur sin because you will be abandoning swadharma and kirti. While abandoning your duty as a kshatriya, failure to duty will be sinful, will incur sin. And then kirtim, you will also sacrificing your well-earned fame. Kirti means fame. Arjuna was the most famous warrior during that time. He was known to be the greatest warrior. Everybody was envious, jealous of him because of his skill in warfare, especially in archery. You will be sacrificing all of that. You will be failing to do your duty will incur sin, and you will not go to heaven. So it's not good for you. Therefore, you must resort to Tato Yuddhaya Yujyasva. Resolve, make a resolution to fight, stand up and fight. That is the, all this is simply Sri Krishna's various ways to persuade Arjuna to do his duty. In 3 words, I can summarize all the verses we studied today. 3 words only. What are 3 words? Do your duty. That is what Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna in so many ways, giving him so many reasons and arguments. Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna, do your duty. Failure to duty will be sinful, will incur sin. Do our duty, will get purity of mind, that paves the way for God realization. So we will stop there at 33. Now time for questions. We still have 34, 35, 36, 37. Sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from afflictions, may all realize what is noble and auspicious, may no one be subject to misery. Om, peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, may there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, may there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all.